A CNN host has been annihilated today after she defended the pro-Palestine college campus movement just hours after a deadly shooting of 2 Israeli embassy workers in Washington, D.C. CNN's Sarah Sidner had a witness of the shooting on her program just hours after the incident, with the guest still shaken by what he saw. The guest likened the alleged shooter to the pro-Palestine protesters he saw during his time at Columbia University, to which the host pushed back, defending the protesters.
As you go forward with what you have seen, can you give us any sense, because you said you looked the shooter in the eyes, can you give us any sense of what you saw in him as he was sort of getting help and people were tending to him as if he too was a victim of seeing this?
Yeah, to be clear, I heard about that part because we were in the secure room when he initially walked in. I just saw him screaming and then being handcuffed. But what I saw in his eyes, I went to Columbia for grad school and I saw the same thing in his eyes as I saw in the eyes of all the protesters at Columbia. Nothing different between him and them.
But they did not create this horrific shooting. They did not, they didn't shoot.
They gave permission. They gave the permission. And they've called for this. They have called for Intifada revolution, which is the same thing he yelled last night.
Do you worry that there will be a conflation, though, of the two, those people who are speaking their mind, who really care about what is happening in Gaza, and those people who are like this person who did this horrific shooting, who intend to do harm?
A conflation. They are calling for Intifada. At Columbia University, they call for Intifada constantly. They're not quietly, they're loud. They're loud. You can hear it. They make recordings of themselves. So what's the difference?
Are you afraid?
Megyn Kelly unleashed on the CNN host for her response to the witness.
That is not what you ask the fucking eyewitness. Oh, she's so worried about the tie he's making to the violence that was just unleashed against 2 people walking out of this Israel event, and what we're hearing on college campuses literally calling for an intifada against anybody who's pro-Israel. So heaven forbid you make that connection. Sorry, it's obvious. No one's saying, Sarah Sidner, that they caused it, that they made this guy do it, but it's exactly the same rhetoric. And, Jewish people are getting a little sick of college campuses allowing these people to run around calling for their murder. It's kind of upsetting. But she recoils at him making the connection.
And online commentators agreed with this person, saying the attempted justifications by CNN are pathetic. And this person doubled down, saying, and this is why nobody watches CNN anymore. And it wasn't only CNN who swept the shooting under the rug. Congresswoman Ilya Omar also refused to answer questions about the topic.
Congresswoman Omar,
anybody safe?
Can I get your reaction to the shooting that happened in D.C. last night?
I'm going to go for now.
I'm going to go for now, Mark. Couldn't even say condolences for the family.
Twitch streamer Hassan Piker is today in the spotlight after he streamed to 20,000 people just 2 days ago, spread anti-Israel messaging.
I think this will never happen, but in a totally just world, any kind of, regardless of your background, any kind of Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the local dog catcher, as Felix was posting, if they've ever exhibited any sort of positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this.
The Anti-Defamation League chief hit out at the streamer, calling him an extremist.
But all of us need to call it out. I'm thinking about the New York Times doing a gauzy profile a few weeks ago of this gamer, Hassan Piker, who regularly employs awful genocidal rhetoric against Jewish people in the Jewish state. Extremists should not be empowered. People who spout prejudice should not be platformed. This is a moment when we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, we've got to stop this because the consequences are deadly.
And in another show of lunacy, a pro-Palestine protester disrupted a peaceful vigil for the victims Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lisinski in Toronto.
Go f*** yourselves! Go f*** yourselves! And you guys killed 100 children a day! You guys are committing a genocide that's being displayed on TV! The first displayed genocide!
But while some on the left are treading very carefully as to not offend the pro-Palestine community, those with common sense are calling it out. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not mince his words following the attack.
Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler.
And Dr. Phil agreed, calling out the media who are spinning the story to somehow blame Israel for the deadly shooting.
Now, let me ask you something. Is that true? Yes, that's true. Is it accurate? Not even almost. That is true, but it is not accurate. Everything they said was true. There were 2 people on the streets in D.C. that were shot and killed. That part's true. Is it accurate? No. They were right outside a museum and the gunman was shouting, Free Palestine on arrest. Left that part out. Why? Why leave that part out? The organization Honest Reporting compiled the following headlines to show how media blurs anti-Semitism. The BBC's analysts all but blamed Israel. The headline, Shooting Follows Global Criticism of Israel's Expanding Gaza Offensive. Really? So that is something that's being offered to make this okay? Link these two together? And so it trivializes what happened on the streets of Washington, D.C. in the United States of America? You have to ask yourself when we, the people, are going to get tired of this kind of spin.
And Fox News doubled down, slamming the suspect for his grandstanding about Gaza.
Is so revealing to me, where he was talking about how this event where this tragedy occurred was about actually helping Gaza, finding ways to actually help the people who are there. And you know what that tells me? It tells me that this suspect doesn't care about Gaza at all. And actually, nothing about the left-wing anti-Israel cause has anything to do with Gaza. None of the campus protests, none of the marches, they don't care about Gaza. They don't even care about Israel. This is a part of a broader, increasingly prevalent and left-wing movement to radicalize young adults, my age in particular, and teach them to believe that it is okay to use violence as long as it is in service to the right cause. We should be very alarmed by the mainstreaming of this ideology.